All right, let's jump to the main slate. Who do you like for stacks in week 11?
So my first one, I just got to go with a mega Cardinals Texans game stack, centering on the Cardinals side first, but just Kyler Murray pairing him up with McBride. I think that's a solid start. And then instead of throwing in Hollywood Brown for my second part of this stack, I'm going to use Michael Wilson. I've talked about his upside really this whole season, but now with Kyler back and the Cardinals throwing a lot more, I mean, he has a real shot of having just a blow up game here along with McBride. And then send it back with a guy like Tank Dell. I think you can get really creative with game stacks here. I know it might be popular because it is, the highest total game of the week, but there's so much fancy goodness here. I got to go here. And then for my other stack, I'm going to go with Brian Robinson and the Commanders defense. The Commanders have just been a very pass-heavy team this year under Eric Bieniemy. And Sam Howell leads the league in passing yards by over 100 yards, which is crazy to believe. But this is a week where they might get to lean on the run a bit more. They're 10-point favorites. They're facing Tommy DeVito and the Giants here. So it's a great matchup for the defense. I know they just had a fire sale. They got rid of a couple of studs, but it's still a good spot. So that, the defense could get a score here, a bunch of sacks, and that could set up a, run-heavy game for Brian Robinson, who's looked really good the past couple weeks. So I like the idea of stacking those two, along with, stacking this Cardinals-Texans game as much as possible.
Yeah, I like that as well. I like C.J. Stroud, paired with Tank Dell. He's, Stroud is getting up there in price, but the Houston receivers really aren't that pricey. Tank Dell is under 6K. Noah Brown's 48. Dalton Schultz is 5K. Nico Collins is 667, but he might not even play. We'll see if he does. So if not, I even think Woods would be sneaky, as a stacking partner, because with CJ Stroud, it's really, he's not discriminating here. And Woods is only 3,700, so that's something to watch for as well. Also like Brock Purdy, Deebo Samuel. Tampa Bay's playing the fourth most zone coverage. Deebo's averaging 2.8 yards per route against zone, just 1 yard per route against man coverage this year. So this is a Deebo type of matchup here. And he is just 6,300. Purdy just 5,800 on DK. So pretty affordable stack. And Geno Smith, I like him stacked with DK or Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett's a little bit cheaper, so probably the preferred one. Could also go Smith and Jigba, but his route participation rate took a little bit of a hit last week. I'm not sure why, but it's kind of in that 70 to 75% range. But either way, I think Geno at under 6K makes sense stacked with Lockett or Metcalf and maybe even Smith and Jigba too, if you want to switch it up a little bit. All right, where are you going for dart throws?
Yeah, so at quarterback, I like going with Aiden O'Connell at 4,900 against the Dolphins. I know I said he's this year's Brock Purdy. He was able to overtake Jimmy G as the starting quarterback when healthy, but he just hasn't been playing well. So that prediction isn't looking too great. Only half of it's right. But, he is sort of a boom-bust quarterback. They've been using him as a game manager the past couple weeks and getting away with it. I mean, they've won both games, but he's more of like a younger Jameis Winston. He could absolutely chuck it downfield. He's going to make some boneheaded plays. He's going to take some horrible sacks. He's going to throw some horrible interceptions. But this is a spot where they're going to have to tap into that against the Dolphins. They could get down early, need to throw, need to be more aggressive. So this is actually a spot O'Connell might blow up. So under 5K, I could absolutely get behind him in GPPs. Not going to use him in cash or anything, but use him in GPPs and stack him with Devontae Adams or Jacoby Myers or even Michael Mayer. But right now he's too cheap, and this is a spot where he could actually blow up. At running back, it's always tough because they don't price the backup running backs too cheap. So I'm going to go Jerome Ford at 5,200. He really is the lead back for the Browns right now. He's looked pretty good recently. So of all the backs in this range, I think he's the best value. And this could be a more run-heavy game script against the Steelers as favorites. Last week was kind of crazy against the Ravens. It was a tougher matchup, and he still was able to thrive. So I like his upside. at this price. And then the no-brainer play at wide receiver has got to be Michael Wilson. 3,400 is way too cheap for him in what should be a shootout. He just has massive upside with, Kyler Murray back in action. And then tight end, it's a guy that you've been high on this week, but I like him too at this price. It's Tyler Conklin at 2,900. He's coming off 2 straight 6-catch games or more. And Buffalo's not a horrible matchup for tight ends right now with Matt Milano and IR. They're just dealing with a ton of injuries on defense. So, Zach Wilson should be able to target Conklin whenever he wants. But this is a week I think I'd rather spend up at tight end. There's some decent options in that 4K range. But Tyler Conklin's by far the best cheap option.
Yeah, I mean he's just been putting up deep four catch games, 50+ yards in over half his games. I mean you don't get that from any tight end. So yeah, it's about time. And Buffalo's a bottom 5 defense in DVOA against tight end. So good matchup for Conklin. I like Will Levis at 5,200 at quarterback. Jacksonville giving up the 3rd most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. So this is another one of these spots where Levis likes to throw it downfield. He's continuing to kind of get acclimated here. Quiet, somewhat of a quiet last 2 weeks, but could always pop again this week against Jacksonville, especially if Jacksonville can put up some points on Tennessee's defense. Running back Chuba Hubbard's under 5K going against Dallas. He had a 16-6 carry edge, even though Miles Sanders and him kind of split passing down snaps. He's still getting the bulk of the carries in that Carolina backfield. And, against Dallas, you got to try to run the ball against Dallas because you don't want them just teeing off on Bryce Young. So I do think you'll see some, some good carry volume for Hubbard once again. Jaylen Warren at 5,100 against Cleveland. He's kind of taking over that starting role for Najee. And an interesting one, I think, with Michael Carter being cut from the Jets, that means Israel Abanikanda will probably be active for the first time. And Dalvin Cook's already been falling out of favor. Breece Hall is going to be the workhorse, but Abanikanda is kind of like a Keaton Mitchell type. He can bust off a big play with only a handful of touches. So he could be this next few weeks Keaton Mitchell, and he's at min price. So I think he's worth a flyer this week before anyone else, before he essentially has a chance to do anything and other people kind of get wind of him. Wide receiver Jalen Guyton, just 3,300. He had an 85% route participation rate last week, and Green Bay's 31st in DVOA against deep passes, and that's what Guyton does. I mean, he's running the deep route almost every time. He's almost never going underneath. Another interesting one, Dontavian Wicks. He's starting to get more playing time for the Packers. He's just 3,300, and last week three catches, 51 yards, 4 for 49. A week before that, playing just under 50% of the pass snaps these days. So, and he's kind of cut into Jaden Reed's routes a little bit and snaps a little bit. So I think Wicks is a really interesting guy that may start getting more playing time with Christian Watson struggling as well. So, he's a guy I kind of got my eye on here, but I think he's worth a flyer. And at tight end, another Packer, Luke Musgrave is 3,600. Chargers giving up the 2nd most catches and the 2nd most yards to the tight end position. So this is a good spot for Musgrave, who's running around about 75% of the time. So good underlying usage and great matchup for Musgrave.
Yeah, Wicks is definitely interesting. I think LaFleur was raving about him, so his playing time could go up. He's maybe at the expense of Jaden Reed. I don't know. He's been playing solid too, but if Reed, Dobbs, or Watson were to ever go down, in game, Wicks is going to take over. He can line up anywhere. So yeah, he's definitely a good big GPP flyer. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean this is Dobbs has been solid. But he's more of a number 2 kind of guy. I don't think he's a true number 1. So, and then Watson's been struggling so much that who knows, the second half of the year, I mean, Dontavian Wicks could emerge as the top receiver for this Packer team. I wouldn't rule it out, especially with the way he's been trending. So yeah, he's a guy to kind of invest in now, I think. Okay, let's go and build a DK lineup. Who had first pick last week? Was it you or me? I think it was.
I had first pick. I went immediately to Trey McBride.
Oh, right. Great click. Yeah, that got you the win there, right off the bat.
And I had T. Higgins too. That was fun.
Yeah, with the McBride, because like anytime you get one of those single positions, like that's kind of like you
Yeah.
get the best value there. It's hard to beat. All right, so I'll start us off. Let's see. Let's go with. Give me Tank Dell 5,900.
Oh, I was gonna take him because he sticks out like a sore thumb right there.
Always, still not.
They need to
6K
update
yet.
his price. This is ridiculous. You can't keep getting away with this. I'm gonna go Trey McBride then. Might as well. He's 4,400, which is roughly the same price as Cole Kmet. And no offense to Cole Kmet, but they're not even the same league right now. So give me Trey McBride.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I'll take. Give me Purdy at quarterback 5,800. I love that price for him, especially with everybody healthy.
Yeah. I'll take any one of those guys, but yeah, he was definitely standing out just because he's the cheapest of those like mid-range guys. I don't love doing this, but I'm going to go Tony Pollard at 6,600. I think he's just a little too cheap. I know he's been disappointing all season and last week specifically, but the underlying usage is there, and it's an easy matchup, so maybe he breaks out here.
All right. I am going to take my favorite cheap defense before. I don't know if you would take this one, but because it's kind of against the grain a little bit. But I'm gonna go Jets. At the Bills. I mentioned on the other pod how much success the Jets have had against Josh Allen in the last 3 matchups. They've held him to 252 total yards and 6 turnovers compared to 4 touchdowns. So, even though they're on the road. New offense. I just think that the Bills are a little bit out of sorts. Josh Allen, a little turnover prone here. So I think he leads the league in turnovers since he joined the league and like every year since. So yeah, let's go Jets at 2,600 because defense, it's one of those positions where if you can help it, try not to spend up. So yeah, we'll go Jets.
Definitely a sneaky play. I had 2 defenses circled. I thought you were going to take one of them, and I was fine with the other. But Jets is definitely a sneaky play. All right. I guess I'll hold off on defense for now then.
Yeah, you don't have to.
Damn. At running backs, pricing is super tight right now. I'm going to go with a receiver. I'm going to go with Garrett Wilson at 6,400. They're starting to throw it to him underneath more like high percentage routes, which could hurt his yards, but he could rack up more catches. So I think on a full PPR site like DK, he's probably a little bit more valuable right now.
All right. Yeah, I mean, he's him and Conklin. That's the whole pass offense.
Yeah, Aaron Lazard isn't doing shit. So
yeah, I mean, I could see him getting benched next game. I wouldn't be surprised if like Malik Taylor or somebody like that. Brownlee maybe gets a shot.
Damn. Oh, actually, I would love for him to get a shot. Just like Banakanda, like he was really good in preseason and training camp. Like I think he does have some upside at least.
Let's go Jerome Ford at running back. He had 131 yards on 20 touches in that first meeting against Pittsburgh, and he's starting to take control of that backfield again and separate himself from Hunt in terms of getting the most passing down work and saw the most carries as well, 17 carries last week. So let's go with him. He's just 5,200 home favorite against the Steelers.
Yep, love him in that range. Although after you told me the Tomlin, Jalen Warren quotes, I'm going to have to bump his projection up. But those 2 in that low 5K range look like obvious plays this week. I'm gonna go with Michael Wilson at 3,400. More of a GPP play, but I think at this price, like more of a cash game play can make sense. Like I said, he has caught 3 or more balls in 4 straight games. So not a true cash game play though, but I like him at this price going with him here.
Let's go Christian Kirk, 6K. He's been beasting. Looks like Zay Jones is. I don't know if he's gonna play now, even if he's healthy, because he's got in some legal trouble.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
ta-
Oh, I must have missed something.
oh yeah, didn't sound great. Called a
Oh no.
domestic charge. I mean, we don't. It's just alleged, so we don't not rush any conclusions. But yeah, that not looking like anything's gonna change with this top of this Jaguars pecking order. But Christian
Yeah.
Kirk 6K, I think great price for him. He's had double digit PPR games from every week since week 2 except one.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's go with Kirk here.
All right. Well, I saved a lot of cash by taking Michael Wilson at 3,400, so I'm gonna spend up and get Tyreek Hill at 9,300. The Dolphins are huge favorites here, but like I said, Aiden O'Connell might surprise people this week if he is forced to air it out. This could end up being more of a shootout than people think. So either way, Tyreek Hill is going to have a good game. So I just like getting him at 9,300 here.
All right, I'll pay up at running back then. I'll go Eckler at 8,600. It's 3 straight 20-point games, and like you said, a lot of those mid-range running backs are kind of iffy this week. So we'll go Eckler at 8,600 against that shaky Packer run D.
Yeah. Both Steelers backs finished top 10 last week against the Packers. All right, well, I'm gonna take a bit of a gamble here and go Devin Singletary at 5,300. I'm projecting him as showing some value here, even with Dameon Pierce returning, and I don't even know if that's a guarantee right now. I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard any positive news with Pierce. So the Texans are 4-point favorites. Could be a run heavy game script. We've been talking about the passing attack and Stroud, but Singletary had 30 carries for 150 yards last week too. I mean, this offense is ridiculous. So I like investing in it through Singletary. And if Pierce ends up sitting out again, I mean, he's going to be a huge value at this price.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even if Pierce comes back, I think Singletary is going to be the number one. He was kind of trending that way before Pierce went down anyway.
At least a 50-50 split. I mean, this isn't exactly Chuba Hubbard and Miles Sanders flipping here, but it's certainly getting there.
All right. So I got 5,300 average for wide receiver, tight end, and flex. I'll go Luke Musgrave against that bad Charger defense against tight ends. 3,600. So that leaves me 6,150 for wide receiver and a flex average.
All right. Well, I'm gonna just lock in my defense here. I was debating between the Dolphins, who like Aiden O'Connell could have a really good game. He could also throw a couple pick sixes and take a bunch of sacks. So I think the Dolphins defense is certainly in play this week at 3,200. But I'm going to go with the Commanders at 3,600, going up against Tommy DeVito. I just got to pick on this team one more time at least. So I think they're my top ranked defense. So got to go with them.
DeVito. Oh man.
Yeah, man. Andrew Thomas had that scary leg injury. He came back in, thank God, but I thought he was, out for the season. And Thibodeau got a concussion. The Giants just cannot catch a break this year.
Yeah, it's nuts.
And Hyatt got hurt too.
Yeah, I mean it's bad. It's bad.
Yeah, my condolences to. I can't believe you're a Giants fan, but my condolences.
Yeah, I'm numb at this point. Like it's the season. You could tell the season was downhill like 2 months ago. Really, I mean when they went down 28-0 to Arizona, I was like, all right, this team ain't shit.
Could get the first overall pick though.
Exactly. All right, I'm gonna go. Let's go Terry McLaurin coming off a bad game. He had just 33 yards against Seattle, but before that he had 63 or more on 5 catches or more in each of the last 4. So he's only 5,800. We'll go with him against the G-Men.
Might have to have a big first half.
I mean, the Commanders are like the pass heavy team in the league, though. So they don't really take their foot off the gas. I mean, look at what Dallas did against the Giants.
Yeah, that's true. Dak, 40 fantasy points?
Yeah. So I think it'll be all
right. Well, since I already have Michael Wilson and Trey McBride, I'll just go with Kyler at quarterback, 6,100. So I have 4,900 left over for my flex.
All right, I have 6,500 left over for mine.
Plenty of options at that price.
Yeah, but I could go Montgomery. Oh, revenge game Montgomery.
Oh, yeah, that's a
Tyra
good
Lockett,
one.
got Kittle, Brees Halls. But the thing is, I have Brees Hall ranked so much higher. But yes, I don't. There is some uncertainty there. Let's see. Could even go Derrick Henry. I mean, I don't think his price has been this low all
Oh, yeah,
season.
6,300.
Ooh.
The Jaguars in early winter.
Yeah.
No, I know. Now they're good, but usually he does good against the Jaguars.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, because they've had a good run defense for like a couple of years now. Let's see how good he's done over these last few years. Because I know he's them and the Texans. He always goes off. Let's see. Oh, yeah, he had 100-yard games in both against the Jags last year.
I think he had 100-yard games against everybody last year.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. This is a bunch of options. Let's see. So yeah, I could go him. Debo's here. I'm not gonna go Cooper because I already got Ford. Hopkins is 6,100. Yeah, I'm gonna go Montgomery. Revenge game. I think he could see. I think they'll feed him a few more carries than they did last week, even with Gibbs back. So yeah, I'm gonna go Montgomery here. Should be one of those positive game scripts where you can see like 20 plus carries.
Yeah. Yeah, Gibbs. I mean, Gibbs had what 2 1-yard touchdown runs or something like that. Like,
yeah. But I think they give those to Montgomery this week. Come on.
And he was the one that had the
Chicago,
75-yard. That is true.
Yeah, against Chicago, they gotta give it to Montgomery.
They have to give it to him.
You know it. Yeah, so that could flip you.
Yeah. So I have 4,900. I thought I had a clear option here. So at running back, it's Chuba Hubbard. At wide receiver, it's Christian Watson at 4,600. I mean, this could be a game against Chargers where he has a couple of big plays. If this was a GPP team, I think I'd go with Watson here. But then I saw tight end, there's so many options under 4,900 that I have actually projected higher than Watson or Hubbard. So I'm going with Dalton Kincaid. So I'm taking 2 tight ends here. And I have used my entire balance.
Yeah, me too. So what do you got? Let's recap.
So quarterback, Kyler Murray. Running backs, I went with Tony Pollard and Devin Singletary. Wide receiver, I went with Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson, Michael Wilson, and then Tyreek Hill. And then I actually doubled up at tight end. So at tight end, I took Trey McBride. And my flex, I went with Dalton Kincaid. And then for my defense, I went with the Commanders at 3,600 going up against Tommy DeVito and the New York Giants.
I got Purdy at quarterback, 5,800 against Tampa. Running backs, Eckler, 8,600 at Green Bay. And Jerome Ford, 5,200 against Pittsburgh. Wide receivers, Tank Dell, 5,900 against Arizona. Christian Kirk, 6K against Tennessee. Terry McLaurin, 5,800 against the Giants. Tight end Luke Musgrave, 3,600 against the Chargers. And David Montgomery in the flex, 6,500 against the Bears, with the Jets defense at 2,600 at Buffalo. All right, that is going to wrap it up for our NFL fantasy preview episode of the Fantasy Flex. Be sure to check out our player projections episode over on the Action Network podcast channel if you haven't already, and we'll have the night shift episode this Friday where we break down the Sunday and Monday night DFS slates. You can check out actionnetwork.com for all of our NFL fantasy betting content, fantasylabs.com for our DFS tools and models. Don't forget to join the Action Network Discord server. The link is in the episode description. Sean is on X at @_oddsmaker. I'm at Chris Raybon, and we're at those same handles on the free award-winning Action Network app. Until next time, let's get this money.